out some other stuff from the AEA this morning. They put together a bunch of resources that you can look through. So I guess I don't know. Some of the questions that I've been getting are just a lot of times it's dump your history, restart your computer, and make sure Chrome is up to date. And that is a good advice for any child, to any student having trouble with this or that or the other thing. I mean, a lot of the time, if they'll just dump their history and restart, they don't have to update Chrome because the Chromebook will do it. All they have to do is dump their history and restart their Chromebook.
Bob, would you mind doing real quick, share your screen and just walk through those steps of how to double check if your Chrome is up to date? And then Lindsay, I think that'll answer your question as far as what version it should be, because Chrome all the time. And I find like sometimes my computer automatically does it and other times it doesn't. So if Bob wants to show through those steps.
Yeah, while he's doing that, just to let everyone know, I had asked them, because when I was working on my stuff last night, so many of my materials are a PDF, and I want to either change some things on it or create it into a Google Doc to link it onto my day-by-day plans. Well, with all my math things, when I tried to convert the PDF to a Google Doc, the formatting went crazy. So it just looked not like it should. And so I didn't know if I was doing something wrong. That was my question, was how do we convert those PDFs to a Google Doc while maintaining the correct formatting?
Are these, let me ask you a question. Are these something where the kid is going to need to like type on the document, or is it just a document that they need to look at?
The purpose for me doing that was so I could link it as the printable resource. So if a kid wanted to print it at home,
okay,
good, and then write on it.
Sure.
Otherwise, I told them in the directions, like if they were just going through Canvas and doing it online, I said they could do their work on a sheet of paper and then just upload that as a file for me to provide feedback.
Yeah, if all they're going to do is kind of look at it, you can leave it in PDF format. But if like you're going to have the kid make a copy and then you want them to edit it or something like that, PDFs just aren't the best for that. So yeah, it's always a battle. One thing that, were you in Canvas when you're trying to do this? Were you in Canvas when you're doing?
No, I had my PDFs on my desktop.
Okay.
And I was just trying to just drag them into my Google Drive.
Okay. 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 Well, I think I sent you an email with some advice there, things to think about as far as that. But here, let me just, I'm going to jump in here and present just my screen.
Yeah, and if nobody else cares about that, you can move on from that. But I didn't know if anyone else was in a similar boat where they were trying to do those things.
Oh, it's something that probably crosses my office once a week. Fortunately, I have the ability to take over their machine real easy and kind of walk them through. But yeah, it's something it's not an unusual question. It's something that we see quite often. But anyway, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so when you're in Chrome, this is my Google Chrome, and you can probably see the meeting that I'm in here. But if you just go up here to Chrome and go about Google Chrome, you'll see that your computer will start checking for updates. And we are on like 80.0.3 or 4, and I've seen them as low as 74 when I talk to people on the phone. So, so when this gets done checking, then you'll be able to install your update for Chrome. The kids don't have to worry about it. It just automatically does it when they restart their Chromebook, but they do need to restart their Chromebook to force the update. So again, it's just under the Chrome menu about Google Chrome, and it'll come up. All right, did that answer everybody's question on that one? Anything else for me? And I'm being selfish, but I have to go to the Y. I have to get some computers out of the elementary, and I got to deliver them to the Y for homework time this morning. They're going to have homework time with the kids at the Y that are in daycare, and they need machinery. So we're going to move some computers from the elementary to the Y for those kids. If there's any fifth grade teachers here, I don't see on the list that do we have any fifth grade teachers? No, I don't see the fifth grade. Okay. So I guess I won't worry about it since they're not here. We'll deal with some fifth grade issues at another time. Lindsay, Kara, Heather, Rob, anybody gotten any questions that I can help with before I bust out of here?
So far, I don't have any that necessarily you have to be present for. I do want to share just what to do with those PDFs to some degree.
Sure.
Because like even Lindsay's PDF that she shared, one of the thoughts I had, and I'll share my screen here shortly, but was that that'd be a great one that even if you did get it into a Google Doc, the kids could color code right there on the document. You know what I mean? And then they could send it to you easily for feedback. So I think there's some options that we have available on our computers. And then just in general, I had several people reach out yesterday about the PDF. So Lindsay, I don't think you're alone on that one. And since we're recording this too, it would just be good to go through those steps. So I think that's the big thing for me is just what to do with those PDFs that you have. And then a couple tools that we have already on our computers that you can use. And that's the big one I think that I've gotten the most questions about.
Everybody healthy? Nobody sick? No fevers? None of that stuff? Everybody's muted. Okay, thanks, Heather and Rob. I'll jump back in here if I get back from the Y in time from this morning. So have fun with the PDFs, and they can be frustrating. We get that. We understand it. So it's nothing new. So don't feel bad if you're struggling with your PDFs.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just share my screen real quick. I think one of the things that was maybe slightly confusing was that the printable materials needed to be in Google Docs only, but they can print PDFs and we can share PDFs just the same way as we can Google Docs. So I just want to start with that and then also talk about some of the things that Adobe has. And Linz, are you okay with me using your activity as the example that I share?
Yep, feel free to use anything.
Let me make sure that I've got the right screen set up. Oops. Let me fumble here for a second. And just while I'm pulling this up, does anyone else have just burning questions after going through kind of the tutorials, that sort of thing, that you would like us to address? Just maybe type them into that side pane. This morning was really intended for if you needed additional like specific support or confusing things. Like the PDF question has come up quite a bit. But if you have other questions, go ahead and just jump into the chat there and we can address those. Can you guys see my screen? Okay. It's not letting me share. Here we go. Okay, can you guys see it now? The color by classifying. So this is the activity that Lindsay sent. And like she said, her question was more so, how can she get that into a format where students can utilize it? I have it open in Acrobat right now, so in Adobe. And what I'm gonna go back to real quick is just my drive. One of the things that was a question of actually about 3 to 4 people last night was for that printable materials link that we're putting out there for Sarah and Patty, how do we put those materials out there so that they can print them if it is a PDF? And a PDF really isn't any different than a Google Doc. So you just need to make sure that you go through that process of If it's not already in your drive, upload it to your drive. And I believe Lindsay's is already in here, so I'll find Lindsay's from last night. But just that file upload, and then put that file in there. I actually find that PDFs tend to print really well anyways. So it's kind of a nice way to put those out there for Sarah and Patty. Because if they jump into a Google Doc, you know that sometimes formatting can adjust, whereas PDF is static. It's not going to change that. So you can upload your PDF, and then from there you can edit it. So I believe Lindsay's PDF, actually, let me just go under my recents. It would have been last night. So that should have been pretty recent. You guys saw it in Adobe. Oh, of course, my screen's. Maybe I'm the worst person to present considering my internet is super low. So here's her PDF that I just uploaded into my drive last night. And again, with it being a PDF, nothing was changed. But I did see, because Lindsay it's a coloring activity, so they could interact with that digitally. And so right now, with it being a PDF, they really can't interact with it too much in a digital format. But one of the things that I typically do if I want my students to interact with those is even screenshot the portions that maybe aren't formatting correctly. And so when you convert it to a Google Doc, then you can take those screenshots and insert them back in and replace those sections maybe that formatting becomes a problem. The share, if you're doing a PDF, is just under that 3 dots on the top right-hand side. And you can click share, and then you can change those settings. So we changed those last night to anyone with the link can view. Again, that's under advanced. This is your copy, Lynn, so I can't get to it, I guess. But you change those share settings under the advanced to anyone with the link can view. It's the same process as a Google Doc, same process that you would go through with a Google Sheet. So at very minimum, if you want to get those PDFs out there for people to print, then you can do it that way. If you want them to interact with it more, one of the things that we talked about is just how you can open these like with a Google Doc. And I haven't done this with Lindsay straight up on the Google Doc because she already told me the formatting gets messed up. So I did double check that. But most documents that just have text, if you have a PDF and then you open it with a Google Doc, it does a pretty good job of fixing that formatting. But with Lindsay's, I'm guessing with all the symbols and the tables and all of those things, that formatting is most likely getting lost. So as that converts and opens, what you can do is you can come back over here, and the parts that are tables, I'm just doing that Command-Shift-4, and you can grab a screenshot of that portion, and then you can insert that in a Google drawing within the Google Doc. So then you can use that as a way for students to interact. They can just overlay that particular table with colored boxes. And I usually, when I do that, I just put a note in there, double click on the drawing below, and then they know it's a Google drawing, double click on it, and they'll be able to open it up and edit it. And for time's sake, because I think with my internet being this slow, it's going to take a little bit, but I'll just show you guys how to do that on a new Google Doc. I think it'll probably be more efficient for our time than waiting for that conversion. This is kind of my shortcut anytime that I don't have a lot of time to really format things. I do a lot of screenshotting. So screenshotting and then into Google Drawings within that Google Doc is pretty effective. It's pretty quick. And then you can just type your instructions. Because of the size, I'm going to change that orientation real quick. And then the insert, and you're going to go to drawing. And we're going to insert a new drawing. You could have some old drawings you want to insert and embed in there. And that's not too difficult to do. I apologize, my internet speed is so slow, so it's not this slow normally, but a lot of spinning today. And what I'm waiting to load here is this drawing, then there's that image. So when I click on that, I can upload that screenshot. And a couple other things while this is loading, there's the shape tool, and kids can use that shape tool then to color code this object for you. I also have all my screenshots that go to its own separate folder, and that's actually on a Dropbox. So if anyone's wanting to know how just to organize that, because they used to just dump right onto my desktop, and I hated that chaos of my desktop filling up. So if anyone wants some help on that, I can talk to you individually about how to do that. So this will load that image, and the last thing I would do with this activity is I would just make some shapes. And so I don't remember the colors, Lynn, so just forgive me for that. But students can color code it. And then they can also come down here to custom. And you can create these shapes to where they just have to drag them. And I'm going to drag that transparency down so it's color coded. And they can just copy and paste those colors that are possible right down over the boxes. So that would just be one way to make it maybe electronically interactive, if that helps a little bit. And we don't have to worry about all of those math symbols being jumbled up. On the other hand, Adobe, so back to Adobe. Adobe does allow you to convert to Word. This isn't going to work well while I'm in this meeting, but I can just show you where that's at. If you go to File, Save As, instead of saving it as a PDF, you have a Microsoft Word option. And one of the things I've found in the past is if you save it as a Word option, it saves that formatting so much better than if you just convert directly to a Google Doc. Then once that Word version is saved, you can upload that and open that as a Google Doc, if that makes sense for you. Questions on any of that?
Thank you, Heather. That's helpful. I did try the Word doc and that wasn't great. So I think I'm going to try the screenshotting.
Yeah, I find that sometimes too, especially with just diagrams and things that I have in activities that I want to preserve just the way it looks. So that's just kind of one of the quick get arounds that I do for that. Anyone else? Any other questions or anything else you guys are needing help with today? Alrighty. I don't think there was any questions in the chat, right? Well, that's what I have. That's the questions I've received so far. So the tutorials are out there. I'm going to post just a couple different tutorials on maybe how to convert some of those pre-existing things that you guys have. Another one is you can take pictures on your phone of readings. And then if you add that to your drive and open it on the drive side, I'll show you what that looks like as far as opening it on the drive side. But it has been working really well as far as converting images that maybe have text on them into reading. So that's another one that you can use. Actually, I'll post a link to a quick Google video that is out there already that you guys can do that with. So if you have a reading that is on paper and you want it electronically, there's a pretty quick way to convert that as well. So I will, I'll shoot that video out today and along with this video of today's recording. But otherwise, if you guys don't have any questions, we can probably conclude the meeting. And then if you guys need help, just shoot us an email. Any of us are willing to help. And I think that our goal is just to be as quickly responsive to you as possible. And I know that we're looking at those learning opportunities being posted by Wednesday, no later than Wednesday. So you guys have a lot that you'll be working on today and tomorrow especially. But Kara, you have anything to add?
No, I don't think so. I was just gonna remind people, like, if you are going to be using Canvas, which you can use Canvas during that time, to make sure that you watch the tutorial. It's not like this is how you use Canvas kind of a thing, but like there are recommendations in there that are really important to kind of follow along during this time. And then also, if you are going to, and it's not a requirement that you are, but if you are going to do a meetup with a student or a group of students using that Google, like the Google Meet, like we are using today, is the recommended platform by our district because it's the most secure, and you can record, and it just keeps our teachers safe and our students safe. So if you are planning on using either two of those mediums, just to make sure that you actually watch the video, because it's not, because it goes into like how to, recommendations of how to use it, you know, during this time, not just general use. I mean, there is parts of it, but so I just wanted to clarify that in case you haven't watched those tutorials and you're going to use those two technological pieces, to please do so if you haven't already.
Yeah, and if you have questions, and I know this is kind of written on every document, but we all have access to get into your Canvas courses. So that is one of the nice features of Canvas, is that we can get in there and help you with it. So if you have questions on that stuff, let us know. The one question I did get on Friday from Mary was that her course wasn't going yet because the HEX doesn't start for the term that she has. So we went in and updated those term dates for her, because she doesn't have them until, what would that be, HEX, what is that, HEX 6. So because of that, her course wasn't active and she wasn't able to get materials in there. So if you have strange things like that happening, feel free to let us know. I'm trying to scrub all of those as best as I can, but that's also relied on me remembering which classes are in which HEX and whatever else. So I might miss one in there. But we can remove those. And we actually, what I did for her is I just changed that to a term 3 course instead of a HEX course. And it alleviated her issue pretty quickly. And I was trying to think, there was one other question I got that was a pretty easy fix. As Kara mentioned, you know, looking through those tutorials and those walkthroughs as far as how to use Canvas and how to use Google and those sorts of things. The question that Chris Van Gasser asked was, do we have to do a module? And you don't. So you can just post those activities under assignments. The reason why we were recommending that you set up a module is just so that the modules don't give that language of assignment. And so just trying to be friendly with that voluntary language. But I don't think there's anything wrong with, you know, posting your activities just under that side of things, as long as you go through the steps to kind of hide all of those previous activities and those previous things that were graded. And then, Joan, I saw a message from you popping up. Yes, I can look into your FCS class.
I mean, and Heather, I was just gonna say, it might be nice. Let's just take all of the HEX classes and just make them to a term instead of a HEX.
That's what I was trying to work through. Yeah, it's kind of, you've been on the backside of there. It's kind of a pain, because I wish there was a way to just scrub them all. But yes, say to you as well. You guys are the easy ones, because you're the ones that I know are rotational, but sometimes there's a couple hidden ones that get a little tough. We're also trying to remove term dates, because you guys all know that sometimes in Canvas likes to end your class based on when Infinite says we're done. And so we're trying to scrub those out. So just as a reminder, that does require you to then end the class when you don't want students to access it anymore. But one of the things that kind of came up in conversation was, I mean, if they're optional learning opportunities, maybe it's not that big of a deal to end it, because at this point, unless we go back to school, those classes might just be kind of ongoing access for kids if their parents want them to continue to get into them if they didn't get through the material in the quote unquote school time frame. So
I have one last question. So I was going back and forth, you know, in my head of whether to use Canvas or to post my things right on the template. And I believe, so correct me if I'm wrong, if we use Canvas, are we able to see how many kids log in and look through at least our materials? Like, can you monitor that?
Yeah, so you can,
if I put this stuff out there just for curiosity, I know it's not required, it's voluntary, but just to see how many of my kids are actually going in and looking and interacting with the material.
Yes. And so with Canvas, one of the things that I like about it is I can see student activity in Canvas. So I'm going to pull my Canvas up real quick and I can show you guys how to see that. So you'll know if kids are logging in, you'll know how much time they're spending in Canvas if you're looking at that. So let me get my screen pulled up and I can show you how to do that part.
Hey, and Heather, it'd also be good to show everybody how to look at a Google Doc and see how many kids have used it.
Okay, do you want to pull up your screen on the Google Doc side of things, Rob?
Yeah, let me see here. My connection keeps going off and on.
Heather, while you're doing that, can I ask a question?
Yep, go for it.
So my case curriculum is copyrighted, and if I post the PowerPoints that I wanted to use for extension online and they find out that anyone can access that, I lose the ability to have the curriculum. They'll pull it. So I'm worried about offering printable curriculum to have it out there where anyone can access it. Is there a way I can just send it to Patty and Sarah that parents, like not anybody in the world, can just get on our site and access it?
I would think in that case, if you print a list that, or have a list maybe at the start of that printable materials and say, here's who can access it due to copyright. I can only allow, you're saying only the students in your course can access it. Is
I don't care, like anybody in any kid in our school can access it. I just can't have it so that like somebody from Hudson can get on our webpage and pull up my stuff because they're bored and want something for their kids to do.
Yep.
Because they don't have access to the curriculum.
Yeah, you can maybe change that share settings on that one, I would think. But the problem is you don't want to add anyone with SpartanPride.net because it would only be teachers and anyone with GC Learning, right? Or not, yeah, what is it? At GC Spartans. What's the school? The kids is,
Spartan,
Yeah.
GC something.
Yeah.
GC Spartans.
I was gonna say, Amber, otherwise, I don't know exactly how you're using it, but if you just upload that to Canvas and they just get it through Canvas, then you don't have to worry about.
Well, and that's what I was at. I guess maybe that's a better question. Is it okay if because that's what I did for I put my 7th and 8th grade stuff on last night and I just left it in Canvas and didn't put it in the printables. Is that okay?
I think so.
I think so too, unless we find, obviously then if we find a family, like if there's a student in that particular class that doesn't have the technology and needs it printed, then obviously we could print it just for that particular kid. But overall, I would say anything that you do, you can just use Canvas and then you don't necessarily need to link anything to the to the dashboard or whatever term we're using. For those, especially for those copyright material, I think you'd be fine.
That's what we do. That's what we do for ACTEC is put everything on Canvas,
and that's
all copyrighted.
I normally do. I was just worried about making sure that my kids because I do know I think there's probably a couple kids in my middle school that don't have online access. So,
and maybe just and maybe that's just a message to Patty and just say like, hey, I know that there's, or if you know the specific kid. Put them on that sheet.
Okay. That was my other question. I know we were supposed to ask our advisory kids, and I did last week. I have only heard back from one of them. Are we going to, or will there be some way that we can know who can and can't access stuff?
Meaning who has internet, who doesn't?
Yeah.
We don't have those details. I mean, we just have the general percentage right now of there are some kids that we know absolutely don't. So I guess maybe, I don't know, that might be a more of a Michael question to see if we can get a specific list, but we can look into that.
Okay. Thank you.
And I guess I kind of took it as if advisors are doing everything they can in these first couple days to reach each one of their advisees, and then anyone you're not getting in contact with, put on that list for Thorn, I believe, and then through the advisors reaching out to their groups, hopefully we have a better list of who is in need of printable materials. But it doesn't sound like it's a very high success rate yet. Is that what you're saying, Amber?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm probably actually just going to physically call my advisory kids because I've only had one respond, and I've only had one respond in any of the 3 weeks. Now I have juniors, so
yeah. I'm interested to see how many we have respond, especially this week. with things changing just a little bit. You know, what we can offer has a little bit more grit to it than what we could offer previously. So I'm interested to see if that doesn't maybe increase some of the responses, but I haven't heard back from a large, majority of my 8th grade science kids. I've heard back from all my golfers, but, so yeah.
That's it. I hear back from my FFA kids, but I don't hear back from my other kids.
Yep. Can you guys see my screen? Okay. So here's this, I'm under settings in my Canvas course. So on your navigation pane, if you go under settings, and then off to the right-hand side here, you can see course statistics. This is a handy little spot for you to go to just to see who's accessed your course and kind of when. So here's the running total. And if I click under students, here's my 4 lovely students who have accessed my course between yesterday and today. So it'll give you kind of an update of those students. And then you can actually dig into those students and see how much time they've spent. So right now I've got 4 out of my, 60 that have been in there. And I can check out Tate, for example. And over here, there's this little link that says access report. I use this during the regular school year. When students are like, oh, I got in there and I couldn't get it to work, I always go look and see if they even tried to access it. But if you click on access report, it'll tell you what he has done. So you can see as of March 9th, he was in there, and then he was in there 15 minutes ago, and he accessed the course homepage 3 different times. So I can tell from this that he hasn't opened up any of the new learning quote unquote assignments yet under there, but I can see that he's accessed the module page. So that'll give you some input there. Now this times participated is actually when they're doing something. So you can see that he submitted his quiz back on March 10th before we were out of school. So hopefully that helps if you're just curious to find out who has been, or maybe a little bit of information as far as, are you getting anyone in there? That's where I would go in Canvas. Questions on that?
Not on that, but I do have a question about the overall document.
Okay.
Or if we are putting things on Canvas, should it still be on that document of C Canvas? So that, I'm assuming that's kind of that master district document that's what was mentioned in the letter that went out to parents, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Master document.
Yeah.
So do you want that on there is just like C Canvas?
I went into my template, Joan, and in my template, what I did was I indicated that the course material would be in Canvas. I published my Canvas course, and maybe I should show you guys how to do that as well, because I had a couple parents reach out to me, both of which were 8th grade parents, and they just said, I love the idea that you guys are going to put things out, but I want to know what it looks like and how to facilitate, because I don't know whether my kid is actually doing it or not, and I want my kid to be doing these things.
And they don't have access to Canvas. Right. Okay. Yeah.
Right. But you can change your settings on that. So can you still see my screen?
Yep.
So if you go to settings down here, I believe every teacher should be able to do this. So this is a good question. I forgot that I did this last week for mine. If you go under your course details and you scroll down to visibility, this option for you, I believe, is automatically set to course or institution. I can't remember which. I changed mine to public. And then what I did was I tested it on Safari. Bob's little tidbit in one of our meetings was test everything on Safari if you're using Chrome all the time. So I took my, I went to my home screen after I changed that setting. And just by the way, sorry to jump around on you. When you change that to public, make sure you hit update course details down at the bottom. If you don't do that, it won't save the settings. Then what I did to test it is I went to the home page and I grabbed the link at the URL at the top, and then I opened up Safari. And I pasted that link into Safari to see, okay, is this something that I'm not logged into Google, I'm not logged into Canvas and Safari, so this is just a test to see what they see. So this is what anyone can see on my course. So I made that public, And then on my 8th grade science template, what I did was I explained that I would be utilizing Canvas. And parents, if you want to see the activities that are available in Canvas, here's the public link. Students still log into your Canvas account. I actually removed my Tuesday through Thursday and said week of, because for mine, it's 3 different activities. But if they sat down and did, first of all, to read it, it's going to be probably a 30-minute activity, whereas I'm not asking them to, sit down and initially do that in one day. So I want them to do the 3 activities they can see here over the course of the week. And I explain that in my template that is viewable. I feel like, in my opinion, the instructions that are viewable to the public are probably the ones that need to be most clear and parent and student friendly at this point, just because I know that some students maybe are going to really push back against, necessarily getting in there and might need some motivation and guidance from their parents. And so I wanted to make it easier for them to see it. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
And I still kept mine day by day, and I just said, log into Canvas, go to the COVID-19 suggested learning opportunities module, and then my 3rd bullet point said, and then I named the specific activity, do this activity, and I had that for Monday and then Tuesday. So my first 2 bullets were the same, and then the 3rd bullet changed depending on the activity for the day.
Yeah. And they are able to see, did Bob show you guys? I don't know if he did. They are able to see just the first week. So if you guys weren't aware, what we did was we hid weeks 2 and 3. You guys can still work on those templates, get materials out there. But I just felt like in our meeting when we were talking, and I think we all kind of came to a consensus on there as well, is that as long as they weren't like trolling a couple weeks out going, why does this teacher not have 3 weeks of material out here? Or why is this teacher blank for this week and not this teacher? And kind of reduce that, then it would hopefully take some of the pressure off of having to have all 3 weeks out there. So this is what they see, for example, on the middle school end of things. So they only see week 1. Now, this is easy for us on the backside just to release week 2 and 3. And the template you guys have access to from that job aid that has that whole table of the 3 weeks and the links to your templates. You guys have access. There's the same links on here, and we'll reveal week 2, probably Sunday night. We haven't fully decided that. I think probably Sunday night we'll release week 2, and then the following Sunday night, week 3. But that way it gives you guys some privacy as you develop those materials. Because I do find it kind of weird when I'm working on a Google Doc and adjusting it and the links out there. And then all of a sudden people are in there looking at it and I'm still trying to maybe finalize some stuff. So just a little bit less pressure on you guys for weeks 2 and 3. Those links aren't live to the public yet. Just week 1 is live to the public. And then I believe the parent letter was updated to kind of reflect that by Wednesday, really looking for those materials to be a little bit more complete. And then Mondays from there on out.
Is that what it said in the letter and the staff announcements? It sounded like it went live this morning.
Yep, it's live. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, because I couldn't access this before. So it is live this morning, but he updated the parent letter to indicate that the materials really start on Wednesday.
Okay, good. Okay, wondered about that.
Yep. If you have like an enrichment activity you just want to throw up there for Monday, Tuesday, you can, because that's what the letter indicated, I believe. Is that I'm not a parent, so I didn't see the final letter sent out, but I believe it was to indicate that Monday and Tuesday continue with those enrichment activities as we've been doing. And then by Wednesday, these online learning opportunities would be a little bit more guided with the templates. Any other questions? All right. Well, that's what I have for you guys. Again, send us questions. We'll continue adding to that. We have that questions document that is started. If you haven't been on that COVID-19 board, we really tried hard to clean that up last week. So we kind of had a divide and conquer on that piece so that it was a little bit more organized. The tutorials are there for you. And the word tutorial maybe is a little deceiving because really this is not just tutorials, but their guidance as we went through that task force process of trying to make sure that we're meeting the guidelines set out by the DE and just that common language of voluntary. and making sure that we don't give that perception of it being mandatory is really important. But I think this board has got a lot of useful tools for you to be using as well, so that we can update and continue to get resources out there for you.
Rob, was there something that you wanted to present on Google Docs?
Oh, I think that he was going to share about when you go under tools and you look at the activity dashboard for Google Docs, so you can see who has been on the document and what the dates are. Right, Rob?
Yes, correct.
Rob,
I'm having connection problems, so I keep popping in and out.
I put my screen back up here. So can you see mine?
Hold on one second. Yeah.
Okay, so you were talking, you said go to tools and then down to activity dashboard.
Yeah. And then if you look over there at viewers, if it's shared correctly to your students, they'll be up on the top. There'll be a section see all viewers, and then you can see all students who've logged into that Google Doc.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and this is the one I just made of Lindsay. So this obviously wouldn't have any access to it, but so that was again under tools, and then went down to activity dashboard, and I didn't even know that existed. So that's awesome. Alrighty.
Yeah, when you see that, you can, like, when you look at the viewer trend, you can see like what days most kids like spent on it and that kind of stuff. And then obviously we'll give you each individual student who has been on it and when and all that good stuff.
Sounds good.
I was going to bring up one other thing. Everyone out there, Canvas community has Canvas Commons, which has thousands and thousands of lessons already. So every teacher that uses Canvas in the United States is going through the same process we are. So please make sure you check that out, especially if you're stuck and you're really struggling to find materials. Thank you, Heather, for showing that.
Yeah, for sure. That's a great point too, because there's lots of stuff out here. Actually, there's some really cool stuff out here that we found for even just some social emotional learning stuff. And I don't remember, a couple months ago, we found it on, developing executive functioning skills and things like that. And these things import really nicely into Canvas. So that's the cool thing about it, is you can import some of these modules directly, and then as a teacher, you can edit them. So there is a lot that's out here. And this is something that's been out there for, I think they opened this up maybe 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's had a lot of time to develop and expand and become a very viable resource as well.
Yeah, just over the last 24 hours, there's 1,000 more people posted something new to it.
For sure. And there's a lot of searching. Obviously, you guys know how to search, so you can filter these things down by content. And if you're looking for things that have a quiz, don't have a quiz. So yeah, there's a lot of versatility in that. Ooh, healthy snacks, Joan.
There we go.
All righty. Well, I think we're all good. Yeah, for now.
Yep, keep reaching out, ask questions. Like, don't feel like you have a silly question or whatever. There's all sorts of different comfortability with the situation. So just please reach out, ask questions, email any of us or call any of us, or even if you want to set up a Google Meet and we can help you, kind of like work along with you on your computer, we can do that as well. So.
Awesome. Well, I will post the recording. So this has been recorded too. So if there's something that was said that you're like, oh crap, how do I do that again? I'll post it there on that COVID-19 board, and we can all go get started. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.